Howdy, boys and girls. My cat. We'll explain and maybe we'll show you. But the cat, he doesn't care that it's week 9 of the college football season, and he only cares about the Carla and Krabby Show because I'm up here doing stuff, and he's like, "What are you doing?" But if you're watching, we will show you some of that stuff, or maybe I'll post a screen cap or two. Anyway, it's week 9 of the college football season, and week 9 of the Carla and Crappy Show. Carla does not have small animals climbing all over her desk. It doesn't appear that way anyway.
I certainly don't. Things are much calmer here in Nashville at the moment. So, but I have been enjoying watching Charlie crash the show. This is kind of fun.
He's very nice. He can be very nice. But he also gets to a point. Seriously, this is how we learn what it's like to live with a toddler, and why we decided that's not a good idea for us. Because he's literally like a 2-year-old. If he gets to the point where he's bored, he just starts picking at stuff and messing around and making noise, and we're both just like, stop it. So there are no guarantees. He may be back up on my desk as we're taping this. We're going to power through it because we're professional. Is why we're going to.
Sure.
Sure.
That's our Halloween costume this year? Professionals?
Professionals. I'm not even sure how to dress like that anymore. I don't ever have to leave the office for anything. I could wear hoodies and shorts like I'm wearing now every day, and everyone would be like, okay. We should get around to talking to college football.
Sure.
Last weekend was fun. I don't know about how much you got to see, but is there anything that stuck out to you as you watched Penn State beat Michigan, maybe?
Yeah. Well, so it's funny. So yeah,
I don't know if that's one thing or not. That's wild guess.
Yeah. Well, actually, I'm holding on to that for a little bit for later in the show. But no, those of you that were following me on Twitter on Saturday know that I was helping to lead a design-a-thon on Saturday with a bunch of my college students from MTSU, and so we had an 8-hour workday on Saturday. But the good news was that we had 3 televisions running. So we had 3 TVs on 3 different games. But the one game we didn't have on was the game of the week. And I wrote here my notes. Georgia, we can have the worst horrible loss of the year. Wisconsin, hold my beer.
Yes.
Why that didn't become a meme? That's the shocker of the week. I mean, like, it's still a head scratcher, and we're how many days away from when that game happened? It's just like, how in the heck does Wisconsin lose that game? Which is funny because I'll bring that up when we're talking about your game this week.
Sure.
But yeah, it was just crazy, the statistics in that game. You know, Wisconsin had the ball for 41 minutes. Illinois had it for 19 and they still lost. Like, it's just crazy, inexplicable. And it was just kind of one of those weeks that, like, some of the off the radar games, because Wisconsin, Illinois, I think was on the Big Ten networks. Like, nobody was really paying attention to that game until it was over and we went, oh wait, what? Same thing with Virginia Tech and Carolina. The game that went 6 overtimes, nobody was paying attention to that game until somebody said, oh wait, they're in the 4th overtime, and the new overtime rules just went into play.
And that's correct me if I'm wrong. That's when you must go for 2 after.
It's just 2-point conversions.
Oh, okay.
So there's no drive anymore. Like, after you get past the 4th overtime, it's literally you just line up for a 2-point conversion.
Wow, that's fun. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it still went 6 overtimes.
Yeah.
You know, so that was a crazy game. And then, of course, the game that got all the attention here in Nashville, which is another game that I didn't see any of, was Vanderbilt with a huge win over Missouri here at home on West End, which is interesting because all the Nashville media the week leading into this game were railing on Derek Mason pretty hard, rightfully so. You know, they kept driving home the fact that Vanderbilt lost at home to a 1-4 Mountain West UNLV team the week before. Which, I mean, Vanderbilt, yes, still is an SEC team, believe it or not. And it's just one of those, you know, an SEC team cannot lose to a 1-4 Mountain West team at home. And so, you know, people were, you know, Derek Mason's the nicest guy on the face of the planet. Everybody that's dealt with him will tell you that. But it was starting to get to the point of like, well, he's either going to have to fire his entire coaching staff, or he's going to have to take leave from his job at the end of the year. That was kind of where everybody was. Mm-hmm. Talk about a huge statement win. And we saw Derek Mason here in Nashville after that game that we have never seen before. Mm-hmm. He was fired up. He was, making the case for his job. He'd been hearing it all week. It was all the local guys. And so for him, after the game, as he was walking off the field, talking to the SEC sideline reporter, saying, everybody wants this job, but I'm the guy for it. Like, that's something you don't hear from Derek Mason. So here's hoping, for some signs of life in the Vanderbilt football program. And there's a lot of other things happening there, but that was such a huge win. It was homecoming too. So there were actually people in the stands that were Vanderbilt fans. Yeah. Although it was tougher to tell because Missouri and Vanderbilt have the same colors. So it was at least masked. Nice. But yeah, so it was kind of nice to see Vanderbilt kind of getting some life in some good press for a change, and we'll see if they turn it around a little bit. It would be nice to see Anchor Down come around. But yeah, what a crazy weekend!
That was fun. You started down this road a little bit, and obviously we're going to spend some time on it while we are talking. We will be discussing the Jimmy Harbaugh unemployment watch later in the show.
Is that a new index?
I don't know. We need an index, but geez, it's something that I imagine we're going to spend some time on. You know who else has a downright frightening close to the season? That is PJ Fleck in Minnesota. After Wisconsin's loss to Illinois, Minnesota. Here is a sentence that I may have never said before in my life. Minnesota is in charge of the Big Ten West, and they went out. They're going to the title game, which is an awesome thing for them. It's not an easy position to hold. They have divisional games left: Iowa, at Northwestern, and Wisconsin. Bonus fun, they have to host Penn State on November 9th. So, I mean, it's disingenuous to compare PJ Fleck, his position, to Jimmy Harbaugh's position. I mean, if PJ wins half of those games, he's going to be sainted in the state of Minnesota, right? And if Harbaugh, well, we'll talk about what happens with Jimmy, depending on how the rest of his season goes. But man, just such a crazy turnaround, and PJ Fleck has done it everywhere he's coached so far. Yeah. If he can get the Gophers to the Big Ten title game,
year 3?
Minnesota Sports Hall of Fame, he will be elected. This is the state that elected Jesse Ventura governor, so he could probably run for governor and win. If he wanted to do that, that would just be a possibility that he might want to think about when coaching is done. But
would his tagline be "Row the vote"?
Row the vote. Man, you should do this stuff for a living, Carla.
My husband does.
Row the vote. Okay. One other thing to take care of before we get to our games, your weekly look at the Clemson Index. They are home against unranked Boston College, and they are favored by 35 points. Just real quick, what's your Clemson Index look like for this week?
So things come in threes, right? This is what makes me a little bit nervous here. Okay. Because we had Georgia-ing 2 weeks ago, we had Wisconsin-ing last weekend. Is this the weekend we get a Clemson-ing? And BC's an interesting candidate for this. Right. Because this could be the week for Clemson. They're playing at home, so I like that. Right. Boston College's defense is terrible. Yes. So they've got that going for them. I think that's why the line's so big.
Hence the line.
Quoting Huguenin again, rancid. But here's what makes me nervous about this game a little bit. Boston College has played teams close this year. They played Louisville close. They played Wake very close. I've got this at a 5.5. Okay. I think Boston College's defense is too bad to really make this a legitimate thing, but things come in threes. Some team is gonna have an inexplicable loss this week. I don't know if it's Clemson or not, but I would keep your eye on this one.
I had not thought about that. I was actually thinking more reverse psychology, because Clemson is, and this is getting more and more attention. We talked about it a little bit last week. They don't look like Clemson of the last couple seasons, right?
That's true.
Inconsistent offense, defense, especially the front seven, isn't just the monstrous invincible thing that it has been. I think what will happen is that the inconsistent play of the last couple of weeks, and especially the attention surrounding that, that means Dabo's going to work extra hard to get his team's attention. Therefore, I think the index for this week is going to be lower. I'm giving it a 3. Reverse psychology. So we'll see how that goes. Also, I would definitely take Boston College in the points for this. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Our games, we have as customary, we have 3 of them, starting with Big Nude Saturday, which I get to see in person. I will not be nude on Saturday because the forecast in Columbus is a chance of rain and temps in the 50s, and that's a little chilly. So I'm not going to do that. This, of course, is number 13, Wisconsin at number 3, Ohio State. Ohio State is favored by a reasonable, I think, 14 points. Carla, beside my clothing size for the game, what do you think?
Well, and talk about like sucking the air out of the room with the loss last week to Wisconsin. Like this game, I was so excited for this game, and then they screw around and Bucky loses.
You were excited.
Bucky screws around and loses to the freaking Illini, and now it's just like, yeah, Ohio State's going to win this game. But I did actually look a little bit into this. I'm going to leave most of the analysis to you here. But so the one thing I looked at was, both these teams have really, really great defenses. Ohio State is a little weaker against the run, which is going to be an interesting matchup going up against Jonathan Taylor. But then the interesting thing about the Jonathan Taylor thing is the fact that J.K. Dobbins' numbers actually aren't that different from Jonathan Taylor.
I think Taylor's got like 15 more yards on the season.
Yep.
It's really tight.
It's really close. The big difference is in scoring.
Yeah.
Taylor's got a bunch more touchdowns than J.K. Dobbins does, but that's to be understood because Ohio State hasn't had to run the football for a touchdown. That's just the way it is. But where I think the key to this game is, and I had a lot of fun digging in the stats this week.
Okay.
Turnover margin is the reason why Ohio State is going to win this game. Ohio State is number 4 in the country in turnover margin, and they've had 10 interceptions. And it was Jack Cohn's interception last week that essentially, a lot of other things, but the poorly timed interception is what cost Wisconsin that game.
At the end of the game, that was there's no question. Then you've got Illinois with the ball with enough time to get down and kick the field goal, which is what they did.
So I think Ohio State's propensity for causing turnovers is going to be the difference in this game. I think defensively these two teams are pretty equal, but I think that's going to be the difference. I think you're going to see an Ohio State win. I don't know about the line. 14 is reasonable, but I don't know. I think is it going to rain?
50-50 chance right now, and it's gone back and forth twice this week. So who knows by then.
Wisconsin covers. I see it like a 10-point Ohio State victory. But I think Ohio State wins this fairly comfortably. I don't see, and by comfortable, I mean like the way that Penn State beat Michigan last week, where it got a little bit uncomfortable at the end.
And that's fine.
But I think the Buckeyes win this game at home.
Okay. First, let's discuss my college football fan brain, which is I look at the situation. After I was thinking about this on Saturday after Wisconsin lost, and I'm like, okay, your team's you've just been upset on the road. You're a clear favorite to win your division and maybe work your way into a conference title, maybe a playoff spot, even if things work out. You need to make a statement right now to get back on track, and there is no better time to do that during a road trip to the number 3 team in the country that would take care of that very, very easily. So I am annoyed for a whole bunch of reasons that Wisconsin lost last weekend. Not the least of which is that you just feel like, oh man, they're going to be pissed off when they come to Columbus. And but okay, let me back up. I think you can learn something from last week's game, and I think we can the Ohio State can do this better than Illinois did, and that is stacking the box, giving Jonathan Taylor trouble, and forcing Wisconsin to throw the football to move their offense and to score. Ohio State's front four is mind blowing. Linebackers are significantly better than they were a year ago. So overall, I think the net for the front seven means that's the strategy that's going to work really well. To continue my dispassionate analysis, even though you guys know that's garbage and I'm freaking out about this, a better scoring average is something we should look at too. More productive offensively, and overall. We mentioned the comparison between Jonathan Taylor and J.K. Dobbins, but Ohio State on the ground overall is it's a better rushing offense in terms of yardage than Wisconsin's is, and it's a home game, thankfully.
Yeah.
Even with all that stuff, I'm like, but I do think Ohio State wins on Saturday. So
because we don't need no stinking Badgers.
We don't need no stinking Badgers. And I hope that's going to be. You had a quick thing about the game that follows. Was this like lesser Nude Saturday or lesser? I don't know what that would be. I don't know what's coming up after that one.
So if you're not entertained by the rest of the games on the slate, and there's a lot of really kind of intriguing undercard games this week. Keep your eye stay on Fox and keep your eye on Texas at TCU. The Longhorns are only a 2-point favorite on the road. And the reason why is because the TCU defense is actually good by Big 12 standards. They're giving up 200 fewer yards than Texas, and they're playing at home. This is a game to watch really just for a kind of, Oklahoma's resume, for one thing, to see, because they're still kind of hanging around with a potential playoff opportunity here. But if Texas takes too many losses and that's the only signature win that Oklahoma gets, you got to think that's going to raise some questions about them possibly sneaking into the playoff if crazy stuff happens. And also it would affect Texas's bowl appearances possibly. So keep your eye on this one. Could be intriguing.
Okay. Next up we have I'm scrambling something here because I think my cat literally erased the intro into this, so I don't have the line in front of me and I have to find it. If you don't follow Colors Advice, you can switch over to CBS at 3:30. Excuse me, and watch Auburn at LSU. Yeah, Charlie erased all of this stuff because I can't tell you how they rank. I will go back and find that. But while I do that, Carla's going to tell you what she thinks about this game.
Gosh, Bo Nix is like trial by fire in this season, isn't he? Like he's just gotten like it. Auburn just must have one of the most difficult.
And he's acquitted himself pretty well. I mean, there are times he looks like a freshman. He cannot look like a freshman this week, though. That would be real bad. Yeah, no, he definitely can't. And when you look at this game and you look at the numbers on this game, the defenses are literally as statistically equal as possible in this game. Like they're within like 1/10 of a yard of each other in the amount of yards that they give up. Like it's that ridiculous. Right.
And even the ratio between passing yards and rushing yards is almost identical. Like it's pretty crazy. Both these teams are really, really great at stopping the run. So that's bad news for Auburn because let's think about that. Like it's great they can stop the run, but LSU doesn't really run the football. I mean, they're running they're running the fun and gun essentially this season, and they're averaging Auburn's averaging more yards on the ground than in the air per game, and so it's just not a good combination here. LSU's spread offense facing an Auburn defense that's giving up over 200 yards per game passing, also not a great combination here. LSU playing at home, in the spotlight game on CBS. All of that equals a pretty nice day for Joe Burrow, and the LSU Tigers are going to beat the Auburn Tigers in the Battle of the Tigers.
Tiger on tiger balance.
Yeah.
Violence. Yeah. That's not going to work so well. 2 weeks ago, when Auburn went to Florida, Bo Nix looked like a freshman against a really good defense. He threw 3 picks. Last week, leave it to Arkansas to give you a game that will cure whatever problems you might have. Nix was 12 of 17, 3 touchdowns, and the nice thing was, I mean, they were able to run the ball as well. So you have some balance. You're able to take some of the pressure off of the true freshman. who's going to be an awesome quarterback.
Yeah,
But
he is.
at this point, he's 13 years old, and it can be tough. So if you don't have that to fall back on, and they're not going to have that to fall back on Saturday. And the other thing is, I mean, even if they did, even if Auburn has Bo Jackson in the backfield, those Tigers are not going to keep up with the home team Tigers, led by Notre, Joe Burrow. That offense is a machine.
Yeah, it is.
Averaging 50 a game. Number 2 in the country in passing offense. Mr. Nix, I know you will feel the pressure in this one, because the only way that you're going to win this game is if you try to keep up with that. And I don't think Auburn has the horses this year. Yeah, dude, your future is bright. But you're not going to beat LSU this weekend on the road. It's not going to happen. And I did just for the sake of bookkeeping. Auburn is number 9. LSU is number 2. LSU is an 11-point favorite. So now I feel better. Okay, kids. And then the final game that we are going to talk about tonight, the aforementioned Jimmy Harbaugh unemployment watch, round 2 of 4. At 7:30 on Saturday night. 2 of my favorite teams. Yay. Number 8 Michigan. Excuse me. Number 8 Notre Dame at number 19 Michigan. And Notre Dame is favored by 1, although that line has bounced around a bunch, as you had mentioned. We're taping on Wednesday, so Wednesday afternoon. So that when I did my notes on Wednesday afternoon, that was the line at that point. I don't think it's going to get much wider. But
yeah.
Either way, Carla, what do you think?
Yeah, so I have to go back and thank a former colleague, Pat Forty, when I was at Yahoo, who tweets on Twitter, which is redundant, but yeah, it's been a day, right?
So Pat, professionals.
We are professionals. I'm not wearing my Halloween costume very well. So Pat Forty is the one that is responsible for the horrible loss alert on Twitter, which goes by the abbreviation HLA, which I was referring to with the Wisconsin loss last week.
Right.
So thanks, Pat, for letting me steal that.
Thanks, Pat.
And I'm also going to steal something from Jerry Palm at CBS, who wrote in his preview of this game a very interesting statistic that I can't take credit for. Michigan is 1-12 against top 10 teams under the aforementioned Jimmy Harbaugh.
And I think the one is like the one win that Harbaugh has against Michigan State. Maybe
I didn't go look to see what his one win was, but
okay.
Let's just say
I bet that's it.
That's not something that you want to put on your resume when you're fighting for your job.
No.
Yeah.
No.
And in here, Michigan comes in with a number 8 team coming in here, and you just kind of scratch your head and go, I don't know if they've got a shot in this game. It's just, you go back to what I was talking about before with turnover margin. I love turnover margin. So another game where turnover margin is just ridiculously huge. Notre Dame is the top team in the country when it comes to turnover margin. They are really great at forcing turnovers.
Okay.
And Michigan just happens to have, the 84th worst turnover margin in the country. They've turned the ball over 14 times, and we've seen this happen in game after game where they have just turned the ball over in the worst times possible. And just drop passes and just not secure execution in any
fumbles. A lot of fumbles.
Yeah, a lot of fumbles. So that's not a good recipe when you're going up against a team that is just really, really good at taking the ball away. Also, the Sports Illustrated Notre Dame team site, which is a thing I didn't know existed. I didn't know that Sports Illustrated had team sites now, but they brought up a really interesting point about Notre Dame's scoring defense versus Michigan's scoring offense, which when you look at it, if you use ESPN to kind of break it down and you look at the two kind of numbers back and forth, and it looks like Notre Dame's defense is really not stellar. Right. But when you break down the scoring offense or scoring defense numbers for Notre Dame and you look at them side by side with the Michigan scoring offense numbers, it is completely eye-opening at how mismatched this game is and how And we've seen how Michigan, time and time again, has just not had any luck at all against decent defenses. They just can't put anything together offensively, and even just the touch of a somewhat decent defense is causing this offense fits. And where I realized that Michigan was kind of in trouble for this game actually comes back to what we were talking about. That I said I was going to talk about Penn State, Michigan later in the show. Here we are. What was eye-opening for me is the fact that how quickly in the post-game press conference, Jimmy started complaining about the lack of flags for Penn State. It happened really, really early in the press conference.
Yes.
And that's not something that you do if you're confident in your team.
And I've heard that. I got to go back to the overtime game, and I forget which year that was. But I mean, immediately he was complaining. Like as soon as he set foot in the room with reporters, he was complaining about a first down call, where JT Barrett got hit early, but stretched, got the first down. Watched the replay over and over and over. Bo used the phrase bitterly disappointed. I think that was in 1973 when Ohio State Michigan tied, and tied in conference standings. That was when that may have been the first year where there was not a requirement that if you had gone the year before, another team has to go to the Rose Bowl. And the Big Ten athletic directors voted to send Ohio State, in part because Michigan's quarterback was hurt, Dennis Franklin. And Bo came out and said, "I am bitterly disappointed about this decision." And it's like Harbaugh was watching this tape over and over and had this stuck in his brain, because as soon as he came out after that game, "I am bitterly disappointed." The same words. Yeah. And this is a tangent that has absolutely nothing to do with it, but it's just something that I've noticed. You guys know I'm not a fan of Jim Harbaugh.
Right. Well, and I have a message.
Except when he's coaching the 49ers, and that was a while ago. But it was the same situation. It's like immediately the referees caused this problem. This was the year that he threw his clipboard like 20 yards out on the field and other stuff.
Yeah. So I have a message with Jimmy Harbaugh though. Yeah. So he's complaining about the officials in the Penn State game. You know who had more penalty yards in the game?
I'm going to go out on a limb and say Michigan did that.
Penn State did.
Penn
State had more penalty yards in that game, and Jimmy was complaining about the officials not throwing enough flags on Penn State. Penn State had more penalty yards in that game.
Okay.
Notre Dame's going to win this game, and I don't have much confidence in Notre Dame as I overrated. Yes, I think that's true for Notre Dame. But we believe that for several years now. Yes. But I still think Notre Dame beats Michigan in this game, just because I think Notre Dame defense is going to do the same thing that Penn State did last week. I think Michigan is going to see deja vu, and this game is going to be nearly identical to the game they played last week in Happy Valley.
Okay.
I think the Notre Dame and the Penn State matchup is the same, or very similar. Yeah, it's going to be real interesting.
Okay.
Unemployment watch may become an unemployment warning. Well,
we would upgrade to an advisory first. I think that's what the National Weather Service would do.
Significant Harbaugh advisory.
Nice. Look, this game, I really don't think this game is going to have a whole lot of bearing on, like national picture. We've talked at length about Jimmy and the issues there. No, I think Notre Dame lost some luster from those helmets. Not with the loss to Georgia, but since Georgia lost the game at home to South Carolina. Initially I thought that's actually not a bad loss, and now it's like so outside of the traditional rivalry thing, the question here is Harbaugh. We've talked about Michigan's gauntlet last week. When you look at the last 6 games, 4 of them back-to-back weeks, Penn State last weekend, Notre Dame this weekend, a couple weeks off, and then Michigan State and Ohio State. That's brutal. That is that is rough. And I know Michigan State's not ranked right now, but rivalry game and et cetera, anything can happen.
I have thoughts on Sparty too. We'll get there.
Okay. Well, and obviously, yes. Um, I, I'm struggling with this one a little bit because Michigan actually did improve. I joked about Harbaugh saying, "Oh, my offense is like this close to getting really good," and I'm like, "No, I don't actually see that." But they were better against Penn State.
They were.
And you saw that in the especially in the second half. But I'm still not sure. Number one, this is not a team that knows how to win those games, because they have not. Because for whatever reason, whether it's coaching, whether it's talent, and I tend to think it's not talent because we've talked about Michigan's recruiting before and how good it's been. But the team has improved. Have they improved enough? I'm not super impressed with Notre Dame's offense. We've talked about this before. They don't run the ball well. Ian Book, the close personal friend of my intern Gabby, who I just had chili dogs with last night in Youngstown, which was fun.
Nice.
I mean, he's an exceptional college quarterback. I'm not sure that that's enough for Notre Dame to be a really elite team. I think they are overrated at 8. The line for this game is correct in that it's tight, and I will give Michigan the benefit of the doubt because they're at home. But man, this still feels like a loss. And then there's something. Then we got to talk about, short term, getting crushed by Wisconsin, losing to Penn State, losing to Notre Dame, big, not a conference game, not a division game that's going to hurt you in that respect. But geez, that's one that everyone's watching. I think we're going to continue to talk about Jimmy Harbaugh Unemployment Watch as we continue through the season. Ladies and gentlemen, you can find the Carla and Crappy Show on Apple Podcasts. That's the correct name right now. Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify. You can woo if you want. I don't care. As well as a variety of other podcasting services. You can also watch us babble on YouTube and our Facebook page. If you dig the show, please rate and review. If you don't, you don't mind your own damn business. And it always come back next week. What should we say here? To find out how good we are. To find out how awesome we were.
To find out if Jimmy Harbaugh still has a job.
Okay, that's good. To find out the result of the Jimmy Harbaugh Unemployment Watch. Carla, I understand you have a final thought.
I do have a final thought because as much as I boasted about not being nervous last week about Michigan, and I wasn't, and even when that game got closed in the fourth quarter, I still wasn't super nervous about that game. I had confidence in the defense. I am insanely nervous for this weekend. It is it's the annual land grant trophy game. Penn State at Michigan State.
One of the great rivalries of all time.
Great rivalry and the best rivalry trophy of all time.
Absolutely.
If you have not seen a picture of the land grant trophy, I highly recommend you go Google it immediately.
I'm posting one. So if you're watching, you'll see it right here.
There it is. There, I just left you a spot so you can put the land grant trophy.
Thank you.
It looks like you acquired it at your grandmother's garage sale. It's just a thing of beauty. It really is. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder, right? And so here's what makes me nervous about this game. Michigan State has pulled the upset being the underdog against a highly ranked Penn State team in each of the last 2 seasons. And in part, you can blame Sparty for derailing Penn State out of potential playoff contention each of the last 2 seasons. Yes. Because the game just falls at the worst possible time. You come off of a big win, which seems to happen every year. Penn State has a huge win, and then they play Michigan State, and it's like the wheels just completely fall off the wagon. And where are we this year? Big win against Michigan, and now we have to go to East Lansing. This game terrifies me. Penn State is only a 6.5-point favorite on the road, and they are ranked. Obviously, Michigan State's not ranked, so that's a huge line. The fact that they're not even favored by a touchdown in this game. And the thing that Penn State has to watch out for, I know I've been complaining about the slow starts all season. what I saw last week against Michigan, they started well. They started really, really well. The second quarter was probably some of the best football that Penn State has played all season. They got tired in the second half, and you could tell.
Yes. Yes.
They got tired up front. Michigan was able to move the ball. Michigan was able to run the ball. Those are things that Penn State has not allowed all year. It was like the front line just completely got exhausted by that Michigan offensive front line. That can't happen this week against Sparty. Sparty is a second half team. And so this is something that you have to be really, really careful with especially going into East Lansing and against a team that's going to have a lot of confidence because they've done this before. Penn State, be careful.
Be careful.
Yeah, if the season's gonna go off the rails again, it's gonna be this game. So go bring that land grant trophy back to Happy Valley, please. I'll be sitting on my hands keeping an eye on that game.
Sparty's always scary. Michigan State is always scary, and that's why I'm not discounting them as we look at the Jamie Harbaugh unemployment watch.
Yeah.
In that situation, it's a traditional rivalry, so there's an advantage there. And Mark D'Antonio just seems to know how to do that, especially in that rivalry. But the numbers you cited for the land grant trophy, it is a legit concern. I am always worried about playing them every single year. That is not a game to take for granted. So
that's actually what I should be for Halloween this year. Forget being a professional. I should be Mark D'Antonio in a rivalry game. It'll terrify everybody.
Can you scowl? Let me see your scowl. Did you? That's pretty good. You guys got to watch this one because there's too much visual stuff going on. You just have to watch. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope I will be in Columbus, trying not to freeze my butt off. Carla will be probably parked in front of a TV in warm, dry Nashville. No,
nope.
Okay.
No, I'll be in Atlanta of all places.
Atlanta.
Yeah, the organist that played my wedding is getting married this weekend. So congratulations, Caitlin.
Absolutely, congratulations, Caitlin.
I'll be watching Penn State on my phone. That's the plan. Actually, no, we'll be back in the hotel room by then.
That still works. Yeah,
so the reception's relatively early, so we'll be back in the hotel room. I'll catch the end of the Penn State game, and then we're going to IKEA on Sunday because yay!
Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, whether you watch the games on your phone while you're dodging a wedding, or you get to sit in front of a gigantic television, or whether you're freezing your butt off in Columbus
because you're big and nude.
Because don't be nude. It's going to be too cold in Columbus to be nude. We hope you have as much fun as we're going to have, and we hope you come back here next week and join us for a week number 10. Carla, cheers.
Cheers.
Everybody, you guys, thanks for watching, listening, and we will see you again next week.
Afternoon is because I have to play for a funeral on Friday that I wasn't planning on.
No. You also turn down, type 7661, and then turn down the brightness on the laptop. All right.